Hi everyone, and welcome to OurVentura TV. I'm Sandra Siepak. On today's show, we're going to talk with Mary Kerrigan. She is the program director for Step Up Ventura, which serves many of the homeless children here in Ventura County. Thank you so much for joining us, Mary.
Thank you for having me.
having you on the show. I'd like to address this issue of homeless children and schooling, and of course the problems that arise from that. I know that Step Up Ventura is a very important nonprofit that is a big aid to these kids. Can you tell us about what you do?
Yes. What we do is we provide childcare and preschool for homeless children ages 0 to 5 at free of charge to the parents. And this provides the kind of care and the kind of school preparation that the young children need at the same time that the parents can work full-time or go to school full-time or do a combination so that they can become self-sufficient. Our goal is to eventually have these children in stable, permanent housing instead of motels or couch surfing or being in shelters or transitional housing. What we do is really focus on the needs of the very young child. Many of these children, the majority of them, are developmentally behind their peers. Even by the age of 18 months, they're behind. They're not developing the language skills, they're not developing the pre-math skills that they need to be successful in kindergarten. We know that homeless children, when they enter kindergarten, are expelled from kindergarten at a higher rate and expelled from preschools at a higher rate than high school students.
That is terrible. Yes. We really need to change that. A kid should not be failing at 4 and 5 years old.
Yes, and that's what we're looking at. We're looking at providing one-on-one time and attention from adults, from educational specialists, from mental health specialists, also providing supportive services, mental health supportive services to the children and to the parents so that these children can get caught up, that they enter kindergarten confident and ready to learn and able to manage their feelings and their behaviors and also have all of those language and math skills that they need to be successful. So they'll like kindergarten, they'll like school, they'll continue in school, they'll complete their high school education, they'll be able to be self-sufficient when they're adults. And that is looking at overall breaking the cycle of homelessness. And it starts before the age of 5. We have to really intervene early.
And that's an important point. Breaking that cycle of homelessness is extremely difficult, especially in today's times. We're seeing so much of it across the board, and especially here in Ventura County, it's definitely a problem. How do you stop that cycle? How can you start?
Yeah, and I think that that's why we are looking at the very young child. The ability to form relationships, have some stability in who they rely upon, being able to trust adults and recognize that adults are, helping them, be their best, and for them to really be confident in themselves. I think that people who, kids who are not confident, they don't do well in school, they don't achieve. Kids who haven't formed secure relationships and attachments and understand how they can ask for help and receive help and promote themselves in their own learning process. What we know about homeless children is that there's a lot of trauma. A lot of trauma. Sometimes it's domestic violence, sometimes it's just having different caregivers, sometimes losing contact with parents for periods of time. And that trauma really stops a child's brain from learning. The brain gets interested in how to survive and how to be safe, and not really about how to learn and how to be excited and how to thrive. So we really want to change the child's experience from survival mode to thriving mode. And by giving lots of one-on-one attention, lots of individualized assessments and time, really addressing where they need the skill development, whether it's being able to manage their own feelings or being able to count to 10 or write their name. All of the range of skills. We expect a lot from a 5-year-old when they come into kindergarten. And we want to be sure that these children have that basic foundation of relationships. You know, the trauma gets resolved, so their brain is ready to learn and their attitude is right, and that makes them successful in school, and teachers, you know, can then teach them, you know,
because
when they're ready.
The problem that, you know, you're facing here is that you've got kids coming in already, they don't like school at an early age. What's going to happen down the road by the time they get into junior high and high school? They're going to be dropping out. So it's really good to handle this issue now as they're just little youngsters, and they're just coming into school for the first time. So I think that's important.
And if we really think about it, we learn best from people we trust. So if little kids know to trust adults, you know, and know that they're really there for them, then the child is going to be available for learning. And we also know that, you know, when we feel ashamed or embarrassed in a situation, we don't want to go back to that situation. We're adults, you know, and we want to avoid things that are uncomfortable and especially embarrassing. So we want, you know, kindergartners, homeless children, go to kindergarten and feel confident and know that they can keep up, you know, and that they're not failures.
And it's important to have those positive role models consistently throughout their school years, whether it be starting kindergarten or starting high school. Positive role models are a great effect on children. I think it really makes a big difference. I know there's a lot of affordable preschools out there that are certainly great for, you know, many families, but now we also face those that aren't affordable for families like these who are homeless. How can they afford a preschool? Let's talk about that too.
And that's such an important aspect of what we're seeing when we formed our organization. That there is a shortage of preschools and there's a shortage of childcare across the county. You know, so knowing that, the ones that are a little more affordable get snapped up very quickly. And even with that, preschool is very expensive. And because you go every day, and your child is there for 8-9 hours a day, and a lot is going on. It requires a lot of staff, you know, to meet all the state licensing requirements that then meet the needs of the children. So. Because of that, we really know that state funding is limited. There are 1,200 families right now on the waiting list for state funding to help with preschool. It's not going to happen with. I mean, there's sometimes kids that are in the waiting list for 3 or 4 years. They age out. You know, they go to kindergarten never having gotten the preschool because they were too far down on the waiting list. So we know that we can't expect it to come from state and city funding and county funding. We have to generate the support and the money to help these parents through.
And how do you do that?
Well, we ask private businesses. We are looking for donors. We ask businesses to sponsor events or sponsor. We have a child scholarship fund.
How nice!
Yes, that people can directly, you know that the money that they give is going to go directly for paying for the child to be in preschool or having quality child care.
That's very important.
And knowing that the parents are working, knowing that it's a combined effort, to bring this family to the point eventually of stable housing.
Do you find that a lot of parents are withholding them from going to preschool, kindergarten because they can't leave their job? They have to watch their child.
They have to. We've had families where they have been working. They lose their job because their child is sick more often.
You're stuck. It's like
and it's a catch-22.
It is.
And
you're stuck.
If you don't have childcare, you can't get a job. If you can't get a job, you can't afford childcare.
That's true.
And so that's really what we were looking at is how can we get parents out and homeless families out of this catch-22 situation?
Which is a good point. Do you have programs for the parents to learn more about how they can sort of help in this situation?
Yes, well, we have parent coaching.
Oh, good.
And we also give mental health services for the parents that are seeking, help in terms of their relationship with their child, relationship with each other, relationship at work, those kinds of things. We also work with teens that are homeless that have young children.
Really?
Through an alternative high school program. Okay. So we're always looking for ways that we can either do outreach, for these families, or have the children coming to preschool and childcare. Okay.
Do you have events throughout the year that you raise funds to do this?
Yes, we do. We had a spring event, and we usually have a fall event.
Okay.
And that's to raise money, and it's also to raise awareness.
Yes.
I think a lot of people, they say, well, there's Head Start, so it's
So
already
what do we need to do this for?
already taken care of.
Sure.
And one of the things we know is that homeless families, because they have so much instability, they're generally not participating in Head Start. And so we are looking at ways to make attendance in school, in preschool, very, very easy for parents. And so it's hard because some of these parents change from location to location. So we're trying to make it as accessible as possible.
I think it's really important too that kids in this situation don't suffer more trauma or more type of attachment issues, because I think this is certainly a great experience for them to be a part of a preschool environment, a kindergarten environment. But then again, we want to continue being positive for them throughout their school years. Yes. So I think what you're doing really has an impact on them early on.
Yes, I think this is where we really look at the relationship building. Okay. Relationship building between the teachers and the children, relationship building between teachers and parents. Okay. So parents, when their kids go on into public school kindergarten, that they really feel like they can create good relationships with the teachers there. Right. Because it takes that kind of cooperation. Okay. We also work on giving parents some materials, that they can take home, books to read, things that they don't have, because they're in a temporary housing situation. Right. Kids don't have toys. Sometimes we have kids come to our program and they don't know how to play with toys. Oh. They'll touch a toy, they'll pick it up, they'll put it down, they'll wander around touching toys. They don't really know how to play. Okay. Because when you haven't had stable housing, how do you keep how do you keep things? Right. You don't keep toys, you don't keep books. And so this is another way that we work on giving parents, some of the regular home life that most kids have.
And I think it's important, you talked about one-on-one working with a child. That one-on-one special bond really matters. And I think you see the difference when you work one-on-one with a child, which for these kids means a lot. Yeah. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yes, well, there's two reasons we want to have, we provide extra adults, volunteers and staff provided into the classroom, because the state licensing requirement is something like 11 kids to one adult. Okay. And when you have a special needs child, when you have a homeless child that doesn't know what to do, doesn't really understand all the rules and has difficulty struggling, has struggles, that if we can provide more adults, if we can provide some one-on-one attention to the child that's really struggling, it allows the teacher then to take care of the other 10 children. And if we can put a couple of adults in there, then the ratio goes down, and it's 4 to 1.
Brings me to ask you, what about volunteers? Are you always looking for volunteers?
We are. Oh, thank you so much for reminding me. We are.
Let's get some volunteers in there to help out.
We're always looking for volunteers. People who want to come in and read to children. People who want to just play. Sure. People who come in and have a conversation with a child as they play. Okay. So they hear language, so they begin to understand how to relate their feelings and their thoughts to another person, and to be able to have conversation.
So if folks would be interested, can you give us the website where they can reach
Yes, they
you?
can go to www.stepupventura.org. Okay. And we have information about our organization, and they can look into volunteering and starting that process.
Very good.
Yeah.
I have been on your website. It's very good.
Oh, thank
you.
you.
And it's very informative, and I think people will learn a great deal.
Oh, good.
So let's get some volunteers in there and help you out.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mary Kerrigan, Program Director for Step Up Ventura. What a great organization you have, and keep up the great work.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And thank all of you for joining us on OurVentura TV. I'm Sandra Siepak. See you next time. Bye, everyone.